Having to do the good move to get the good result is the best way to train your brain to change a movement. Why do you think your brain throws in the first place? Because it's trying to help you. Because either your face is open or the downswing shaft is too steep, and that's the only way to hit a ball at a target. So how do we reverse that? Change what we're doing earlier to use that brain's motivation to help us get the shaft length. Okay, so he has to do the move right to get the result. I know a lot of people who come in and see me that have these swing faults that if they could just move a little bit better, right? If they had more flexibility, more mobility, we could get a lot of work done a lot faster. But I haven't been able to find an easy way to do it until I saw this Mobility Pro. And what it gives you is a detailed, customized, personalized plan right for you. So once you go through the testing, it tells you specifically what to do. I love that. It's easy to do. I did all this right from the comfort of my own home. Simple little, I did 15 to 20 minute sessions. You could do as long or as short as you want to, but you can do hours of mobility, right? It's just a couple of minutes, super easy. It's things that are gonna affect your ability to swing the club better, right? So a lot of those nagging swing faults, there could be a lot of reasons outside of just your golf swing as to why you're doing it. It's how your body and your brain are putting together how you can work. So if you're interested in swinging the club better, improving your swing, something you can do that's easy, something you can do right at the comfort of your home, and it's free to try, then I would try out this Mobility Pro app. I've been using, you can see my score when I started. In literally a month, I went from that 76 to that 93. So I absolutely love this Mobility Pro. I've been using it myself. I highly recommend that you try it as well. All right, guys, so with all the lessons that I give, right now I'm probably seeing over 1,000 swings each month. Everyone that comes in inevitably wants to have a better impact position. We all want to hit the ball solid. We want consistency day to day. Most of us, the players that I work with, typically shooting somewhere between 75 and 100 range. We want to get the shaft lane right at impact. We have an early release, we have a flip motion that we want to be able to fix. But in all those swings I see, if I do 100 of those lessons this week, let's say, every single one of those 100 have an issue earlier in the swing that's causing that flip or early release pattern. And so I want to be able to show you how to get the shaft lean, how to get the impact positions we all want. But in order to do that, we have to make sure we have things in place earlier on. And there's typically two main variables that we have to control. Number one, you guessed it, club face angle. And I know you might be saying, hey, Eric, you talk about club face all the time. I already know this. Well, maybe the way we're going to talk about today might have a little light bulb moment to help you think about it in a different way. And the number two thing would be the club path. So of those 100 people, let's say, almost all of them, we have to make sure their club face is square enough and then make sure the club path is good. Let me show you how we'll do this. So here's an example that I used in a recent lesson that I want you to see, and I want you to try this out as well. Now we're just out hitting. I put a foam noodle in front of me about 5 yards in front of the ball. So 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 yards. Now I have that set where that's like right in line with my target line. And so I want to reference that for where the golf ball is starting and how the club face angle is going to impact that. So here's the little drill that I did with the gentleman that I was working with and how important club face is to your release pattern. Here's the simple take home. The more closed your club face is, so if you look at a club face in front of you, let's say the toe and heel are right on top of each other. Let's say that's like even with my spine line, let's call that square. The more the toes in front of the heel, just think about that as closed to keep it simple. The more the toes in front of the heel, the more shaft lean I need to get the face back to square at impact. Let me say that again, this is really important. The more closed my club face is, the more shaft lean I need at impact just to get the face back to toe in front of the heel. So said differently, if my club face is closed, I have to have the handle forward. I have to have the shaft lean. I have to have the good impact position to not hit it to the left, right? With a closed club face as a right-handed golfer. Now the opposite's true. Let's say I open the face, toe behind the heel. Now the only way for me to square this club face, now let's say I did the same thing. I push my handle way forward. What happens to that club face? That club face is still way open. So when I have a toe behind the heel, I can't have all the shaft lean and never squares the club face up. So unless I do a lot of twisting. So what do I need to do with an open club face? I have to early release it. To see how that gets my club face back to pointing towards the target. I have to early release it. So closed club face, shaft lean to get it square. Open club face, throw, early release to get square, and or a lot of late twisting, okay? So what does that mean and how do we practice that? Well, this little example that I gave the gentleman we were hitting, I said, why don't we just exaggerate this, and I want you to do this with me, and shut the club face like wildly at setup just to start this pattern. So I want you to take your normal setup and just use something like a 9-iron and actually twist the face closed roughly 45 degrees. And now re-grip it with that. So I have my normal grip, but now the face is shut like 45 degrees. Now if I take that same club face position and I go to about halfway back, you see from the down the line angle how that club face is very tilted down. It's too closed. Now if I wanted to hit a ball at the noodle or slightly right of the noodle with this club face that's way shut down, how would I release it? Would I get the club head to pass my hands early? Where does that club face point? Way too far to the left, right? Let me grab this little club face tool here. So I'm gonna pop this on so we can see. Let's say I have the face super shut here like this, so it's pointed down towards the ground. Now if I early release it, where does that loft point? Way too far to the left. So the more turned down or shut my face is, what do I have to do to keep it square? Now watch the face on. So if we look at an image of the face on and the down the line, look how forward my hands have to be to have the club face not point to the left. So see from down the line how that points right at my target, and from face on my hands are way forward. That's why any golfer you see like a Dustin Johnson who's got the face way tilted down, or someone who's got a very strong grip, has that impact look, okay? They're doing that in an effort to not hit the ball to the left. So how do we use that? Well, if you have a flip or early release or any of those pieces, if you get the club face more closed earlier, that's gonna give your brain motivation to have the handle forward. So if I hit some shots with this on, and then I'll show you the open face version. So I said to the gentleman I was working with, hey, let's close this 45 degrees. Let's get it back where it's super tilted down. I mean, that's ridiculous. And now let's make some swings. And I put that on there where that club needs to be pointed right at the target. And he said, holy cow, that really feels like I need to have the hands way forward. The elbow stays pointed towards the target. The glove logo stays away. Very passive release pattern. Okay, very passive release pattern. That's too much. And we hit some shots. And of course, where did he hit them? To the left. How come? Because he still has his normal throw release in. But now he has instant feedback. Okay, I have to do the good move to get the good result. This is a big moment here. I'm going to come a little closer. Having to do the good move to get the good result is the best way to train your brain to change a movement. Why do you think your brain throws in the first place? Because it's trying to help you. Because either your face is open or the downswing shaft is too steep, and that's the only way to hit a ball at a target. So how do we reverse that? Change what we're doing earlier to use that brain's motivation to help us get the shaft length. Okay, so he has to do the move right to get the result. So when you do this, you're gonna see how much it feels like you have to hold off. It's gonna feel ridiculous. And this is good training for someone. If you throw too much, you early release and you haven't been able to fix it forever, this is a really good place to start. So I'm gonna close the face 45 degrees. I'm gonna take it back. You know, it's way too tilted down. I'm gonna pause, and then I'm gonna hit a little shot out there. And you're just hitting a little half shot to start with. And I wanna try and start it at or slightly right of my noodle. So keep the handle back, don't cheat it. So the face should be 45 shut, tilted down towards the ground. And now I start that to the right. Now I hit about a probably 3 or 4 yard draw. The ball started right at the target, and I bet at impact my hands were forward, and I didn't have a big throw release, or else the ball would have went left. The other thing you're going to notice with that, if you're someone who throws and your contact goes off and you add a lot of dynamic loft, you typically hit the ball high and short. It feels weak. Well, what does that do to the loft of the club, right? If I do the same thing here, let's say I have this club face tool on, and I can get it on, and I have that club face more tilted down, look at how low the loft is, right? So as I work in impact with that, I'm turning that 9-iron down into a freaking 6-iron. Let's say I do the opposite, which we're gonna do in a second. The club face is too open. Look at the loft there. See that point up towards the sky? So no wonder the ball's going too short. What if I close it here? Look at the loft. So just by twisting the club face, look at the loft change. Isn't that eye-opening? Here's an open face. Why does the ball go high, short, and to the right? There you go. Twist the face closed. So it not only changes the direction, but it also changes the angle of the loft. So if I point this down and have the handle way forward, there's low and compressed. Let's say I do the face closed, I come down, I hit some shots with that. and I feel the handle going forward, right? So we hit a couple of those. Let me do one or two more, and then I'll show you the opposite motion. So the club face is shut, 45 degrees. It's back, the face feels pointed down towards the ground. If this is 90 degrees closed and this is straight up, you're probably going a good 60 degrees. And then almost like a hockey shot, it feels like you have to get the handle forward to not hit it to the left. Just start with little slow, little 9-irons to start this. So 45 closed, tilt the face down, and then start it left or start it right of target. Okay, now there I pull hooked. So that ball started left and curved left, so I got instant feedback. Either I threw too early or I twisted too much, one of those two. So for me, when my face is open, so toe behind the heel, like this, the only way to square that is to throw. See how that squares it, the toe on top of the heel, or I can twist. Now what good players do is they twist it, but they twist it sooner and they twist it slower. So as you're doing these drills, you know, the point here is when you set up, you get the club face 45 closed, tilted down, and really get a sensation of what it feels like to be more passive through the hit and the body motions you feel. You want to just dial it down a little bit, go back to your normal setup, and just feel those same sort of sensations once the club face is prepared to go, however you get there. Feel those same things through the hit. You should be able to take those same sensations and transfer that. That should feel really good right away. So I'll hit one more with the face closed version. Club face 45, tilted down, very, very passive. Handle forward, left elbow at the target, glove logo away. And obviously the more I do my body motions, the rotations, the turns and tilts will help here as well. But just to get a feel of how passive that needs to feel, right? So 45 closed, tilted down. There we go. So starting a little bit to the right. So I know super passive through the hit. That ball is going to feel like it flies off the club face compared to your normal. Now, if I have the opposite, okay, and this is sort of one of the take-homes here. Let's say my club face is too open when you come down. Okay, so the toe is too far behind the heel. So preset the club. Let's do the opposite. First, we turned it 45 closed. See, it points low and left. Now turn it 45 open. You see how it points high and to the right. Okay, so first we had it 45 closed, so that points low and left, which I need to have the handle push forward to not hit it left. I mean, look at that visual. How good is that? Okay, now let's do the opposite. Let's open it 45 degrees and look how it goes high and to the right. Okay, right? So now from here, if I took my normal grip with it 45 open, I go back, and I just want you to do this for a drill, not with your real swing, and the toes behind the heel. Now feel the same feels very passive release like you did before. Now where does the club face point? Way too far to the right. So where would I hit it if I did that? Way too far to the right. What's the point? The point is if your toes behind the heel and your club face is open and you are trying to get your handle forward and do good impact and body motions, your brain's never going to do it because you would hit it too far to the right. So what is your brain going to do? It's going to stand up and throw. And now all of a sudden what happened? Where's that point? So if we look at both cameras at the same time, that point's at my target, but face on, what's the problem? My shaft is too far back. I have no body rotation. I'm standing up. And I have way too much loft. The ball's going to go high and short versus the compression. You get where I'm going here? So just to show you, if I hit a shot with it 45 open, make sure there's no one like way to the right of you when you do this because this ball's going right. Open at 45, take your grip, go back with the toe behind the heel, and try and have the shaft lean the same sort of way on the way forward. And this ball you're going to see is going to go high and right. So here's the opposite motion. Here, club face is open, shaft lean, and that ball goes high, weak, and to the right. Now that golf ball also, with what felt like the same thing to me, probably traveled, I mean, probably somewhere between 50 and 100 yards shorter of what the opposite did. So not only is the contact better when you close the face, get the shaft lean, the ball's also going to go farther. So you get the point here, right? You have to get your club face more square to close to do it. I would do some of these if you're someone who throws too early, overdo the club face close part to learn what that feels like. Then of course, you know, well, how do I actually do this, Eric? You know, I'm not going to have you play with a club face turned 45 degrees at setup. You could, but how would you actually do this in swing? And of course, there's a couple of options, right? And we talked about this in a previous video, I think last week. You can have your grip stronger at setup, will help you close the face more. So grip turn to the right. You can increase your wrist angles, right? So at any time, if I want to bow my lead wrist, bend back my right wrist, that will also tilt it closed. And or I can have more of the arm rotation and the twisting in the early downswing. But first things first, to get it square here, let's say you were just going to set up normal and you wanted to have the club face more square, well, you could turn your grip stronger, so your V's more to the right, and have the club face, you know, more 45 degrees. So this leading edge is the same angle as my spine line, and then learn those same sort of feels that you had before. So try the grip stronger option, hands inside left thigh to start, the face only 45 degrees tilted down, and start it at or to the right of the target. And you're still going to feel those same feels, and you should be compressing the ball nicely. So do you turn the volume up or down with this, where the drill is like as close as the face will ever be. Find those feels, and then just dial it back a little bit from there, a little less tilt down, a little less tilt down, a little less tilt down, but still find the same feels. If you don't like the grip, and you want to have the grip more neutral, then you can always do the wrist angles. So you can feel the lead wrist feeling more bowed, and the right wrist more bent back. Will also get the toe more in front of the heel. And you can do the same thing here. So neutral grip, but more of the wrist angles during the takeaway. That will also produce the same feels, and you're going to compress it much nicer. Now, here's the reality, right? There's two things to kind of solve here. Number one is the reason why you have the flip motion, which is either the face is open and or the downswing is too steep. You need to learn how to swing more from inside. We'll cover that in some other videos. This is more just club face. That's issue number one. So how do you solve your flip, early release, whatever? You have to fix that root issue number one. And then two, you need reps to train in the new motion. So the reality is you've done hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of swings where you're throwing the club too early. So just habitually your brain's going to do it. So to rewire that, you might not happen in a swing or two, okay, but fix the root cause, get the club face more tilted down, step one. Make sure your club path is working from inside as you're doing that, step number two, and then give yourself enough reps with video feedback so you can actually retrain your habit. So we call this the most important video that I could ever do because this is at the root of just about everything. Again, of all those videos I'm seeing of you guys that are having the flip, having the inconsistencies, and that you want to fix your impact, I'm with you, but you have to fix the earlier pieces. 90+% of the time, it's the face is too open or the downswing path is too steep. So you have to hit those first, do some impact training along with it, and then you'll be able to fix that for good.